On our podcast, Dessert Before Breakfast, we review final episodes of TV shows with one catch. At least one of us hasn't watched any of the series before.
Who built these robots?
This shouldn't be difficult!
Is it a metaphor? What does it mean? Where was the creek?
Yeah, I saw no creek.
Did it ever show up? Yeah.
Wow.
Dessert Before Breakfast. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't know what's happening.
Does anyone in this room think that you could get a corpse 2 blocks down Commercial Drive without somebody noticing?
Yeah, actually.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
I know that, Mr. Man. They also call them cereals. I'm not stupid, you know.
The story is ludicrous. You can imagine where it goes from here.
Fixes the cable.
How would you two like to come to my house at the beach?
Love to.
For Larry and Richard.
How are you?
Hey! This is a place to die for. But what they don't realize is while they're checking in, Bernie Lomax will be checking out.
What kind of a host invites you to his house for the weekend and dies on you?
Hi, Bernie. Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?
Oh, Bernie, you animal. You are insatiable.
Doesn't anyone realize he's dead? It's just Bernie.
Weekend at Bernie's.
It just always seems so weird, like the lead-in.
Well, you've done it 40 times.
I know, but I've never been put on the spot. Plus, I know Alex is going to say that dumb thing as soon as I do it.
Alex is not going to say anything dumb tonight, right,
He's
Alex?
He's going to say the dumb thing.
No dumb things.
Okay, good. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's do this properly. It is After Dark. It is Black Dog Video. That makes this the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast, a.k.a. Black Dog After Dark. No shit, you didn't do it.
Black Dog AD.
Oh, bugger. My name is Dylan Reimer. I am a comedian and occasional employee of Black Dog Video here in Vancouver, and I am one of the hosts of this podcast. And as always, sitting to my left is...
I'm Alex Chisholm. I also work at Black Dog Video and program the Rio Theater nearby.
I'm Darren Gay. I own this fetid establishment located in the bowels of Commercial Drive. Yeah, here we are.
I know, here we are in the bowels. Weather's looking pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's only Tuesday, but so far so good. Yeah, I can't remember anything about it, but I think it was good. Watched some movies, drank some beer, all that kind of stuff.
I cannot remember anything that I've done.
Pandemic is like erasing our brains, I think.
I got vaccinated, or half vax. I got my half vax.
So which half did you get vaccinated?
Just the left half.
Oh, good.
So I have to be careful.
Yeah, don't touch anything.
I wear a
with your
mask.
right
I still wear a mask on the right, like Two-Face.
Right.
Or sometimes, like on a bus, I'll just let the right side of my body like hang out the window.
No, I haven't been on a bus since this thing started.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
This movie that we are doing, the 1989 cult classic comedy Weekend at Bernie's.
I can't believe it was 1989. Like, I watched this in the theater. I thought I was at least 14 or 15 when this thing came out, but I was not.
That would have been me. You thought you were me.
I thought
I was 14 when this came out. Directed by...
Ted Kotcheff.
Director
he's Canadian, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, from Toronto. Director of First Blood, Wake and Fright.
Right, that's where I know that.
And a
Wake
few
and Fright.
others.
Oh, I love Wake and
Apprenticeship
Fright.
of Duddy Kravitz.
Yeah, speaking of Canada.
Wow, pretty good resume.
Did
I say that right?
His resume.
A CV, a
curriculum vitae. Weekend at Bernie's. This was Alex's pick. So
explain
Alex,
yourself.
Why did you pick this? And tell us about your first experience with Weekend at Bernie's.
Well, my first experience was seeing the trailer on TV way back in 1989. I missed it in the theater, although I thought it looked totally hilarious. And me and some friends rented it as soon as it was available on VHS, just, the typical group of high school students sitting around wanting to watch a movie, and we basically pissed ourselves laughing.
Literally?
Loved every minute of it. Yeah, I just think it's a really extremely funny movie. Completely critically underrated. It remains a cult classic because I think people who see it realize what the critics didn't, and that it's a much more intelligent film than people realize. And I watch it once a year, once maybe every 2 years, and I love turning people onto this film. I always love it, and anyone I know who I've ever introduced it to have loved it.
So you watch it between 5 and 8 times a decade?
Something like that, yeah. At the beach or whatever, trying to squeeze in those last couple
of
days of summer. Those last couple of days of summer, and get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah. It's definitely a beach movie. So
it's a summertime movie for sure.
Yes.
Well, but it can also be. I like summertime movies in the winter though as well because it's like I'd rather be on a beach than watching a beach movie. So in the winter when I can't go to a beach movie's perfect.
What if you're on the beach watching a beach movie?
That would be so meta, so crazy.
Wow,
I'd
lose your mind.
During the summer when you get home from the beach,
yeah.
Do you watch winter movies like say Affliction? Or Antarjawat the Fast Runner?
But I've watched not those ones, but I have watched.
That's a summer pick.
I watched The Thing once, the John Carpenter one in the middle of the heat wave, and that
did chill you down? Yeah, chilled you out.
Yeah. All right, okay, Mr. Darren, sir.
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you saw Weekend at Bernie's?
Vaguely, I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I swore to everybody, to everyone that's ever going to listen, that I watched this when I was 13 or 14 years old.
But you must have been more like
I
27, 28.
Yeah, which is insane to me. I would watch this movie in the theater being that old.
Oh, wait, I was just joking.
No. I watched 1989. I would have been I would have been 24.
You're 10 years older than I am, so you would have been 24.
I would have been 24 when I saw this, which is
strapping young lad.
Which is it's crazy to me because it seems like something I would really enjoy if I was 14 or 15.
You were just a figure of virility.
I was
raw, unbridled sexuality,
full head of hair, all that stuff,
flowing locks, even.
Yeah,
yes.
But I remember liking it. I remember finding it funny, but I don't. To be honest, there's only one scene that I remembered about it when I tossed it in the old DVD player last night, and that was a water skiing scene.
Everybody remembers the water skiing.
But I don't remember.
It's in the trailer as well and stuff.
To be honest, I didn't remember anything about it. I didn't remember who was in it except for the dead guy, Terry Kaiser. I didn't remember Andrew McCarthy or
Jonathan Silverman.
I was going to call him Benny Goodman. That's wrong.
We can call him whatever you want. Benny Goodman works.
But I don't remember anything about it. I do remember kind of liking it, but thinking it should have been funnier when I saw it. And what about you, Dylan? What's your take on this? Your first time watching it and this and that?
Well, I saw this at the Cineplex in Coquitlam in 1989. I remember going to see the Weird Al Yankovic movie UHF, and I
like that movie.
I love UHF so much. Well, I just love all things Weird Al. But there was a trailer for Weekend at Bernie's before UHF. And again, the water skiing scene, I remember laughing very, very hard, and everyone in the theater laughing very hard, and being determined to go see this thing.
Yep.
And I remember watching that movie and laughing at the scene where Bernie gets bashed against some buoys. And like everyone else, it's the only thing I remember from the movie.
Yeah.
I do remember being kind of turned on by the beautiful women,
right? And they're really high waisted bathing suits.
Oh God, I love those '80s bathing suits.
I watched this with my wife. We watched it on Sunday night, and she goes, "Man, that's a terrible time for women. A terrible time for bathing suits. Like, look at those things.
Great time for cocaine dealers, but everyone else kind of suffered."
Yeah.
And I remember there was a song. There was a song in the soundtrack that I really like, and I sheepishly admit upon my second viewing I still like it.
Really?
Which is the song that plays through the whole movie, which is like,
some like it
some
hot.
like it hot, some like it cold.
The dude from The Police does the soundtrack.
It's credited to Andy Summers, but I'm wondering if it's the Andy Summers who was actually with The Police, because it could be like Mad Max when, a lot of people think Brian May of Queen did the soundtrack, but it's not. It's a different Brian May.
Because I think we looked that up after it was over, and I think it was the Andy Summers from the Police that did that.
Oh, it was, eh? Okay, because obviously it's not him singing.
No.
Like he would have been in charge. He got someone to sing, but they don't
he
credit
did the soundtrack. I don't know to what extent that incorporates into the film. So.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this. It had a groovy.
There's a lot of
very Maxi Priest.
Well, there's a lot of like reggae-ish, like really kind of cheesy reggae-ish sounds in this.
Exactly.
And the Police were known for incorporating reggae into their
Weekend at Bernie's. So Weekend at Bernie's starts out with that music.
Yep.
And some very late 80s graphics for the titles.
I don't remember them.
We are introduced to our protagonists, Richard, played by Jonathan Silverman and
Andrew McCarthy.
But
I remember
Larry.
why does the streets of New York look so shitty?
I miss movies where it's about how shitty it is to live in New York. The first, I don't know, God, a lot. The first 15 scenes of this movie are actually in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And they're broke and they're walking to work and
there's a brutal heat wave.
and it's there, but there's probably a brutal heat wave all year round.
Yeah, all year round.
Unless it's snowing or flooding. I don't know, but like I like that element in a comedy movie where it's just like living in New York sucks.
And I like how they sprinkle in because basically they're going into the office to work on the weekend. They decide to work outside instead because the air conditioning's broken. But there's a comment where the Larry character mentions, we should go to the beach. And then Jonathan Silverman, Richard, points out that, there are no beaches left unless you want to watch fish disintegrate at Coney Island.
Which I like that.
And he names another beach full of medical waste. I can't remember which beach. But I like that, the little environmental commentary too sprinkled.
Yeah. Well,
not heavy-handed or anything.
I don't know if I'd go that.
Sprinkled.
I don't know if it's not.
Is it or is it not commenting on the environment?
It's not an
yes,
inconvenient truth, but it does.
Yeah, well,
it does say it sucks to go to the beach in New York.
It does.
Coney Island was the other beach mentioned.
Coney Island. Yeah. Well, I mentioned that already. But Coney Island's where you watch the fish disintegrate.
No, that was the Hudson River.
And we learned.
I can't remember where the fish disintegrate.
And there's so
I want to go there actually.
Jonathan. So Andrew McCarthy turns up 15 minutes late, but he's usually a half an hour late.
Yeah.
So we learned that Jonathan Silverman is the responsible one, and Andrew McCarthy is
the asshole,
the fun one.
Yeah.
And I related to a guy who considers 15 minutes late to be 15 minutes early.
You mean you then?
I've been that.
You've been that guy
many times. I'm working on it.
Yeah, you're getting better.
By the time I'm 50, I'd like to be on time.
But I knew I was not going to like Andrew McCarthy's character right off the get go because he wears his sunglasses under his chin. Like just either put them in your pocket or put them on your fucking face. Do not wear them on your chin. I just like, okay, that's it. I'm done with this guy.
Where do you stand with sunglasses on the back of your head?
Oh, that's even worse.
Facing, so it looks like you're staring at the person behind you on the bus.
But he's supposed to be a knob, so
he did a good job.
I don't think he's supposed to be a knob. I think he was supposed to be the fun-loving scamp.
Well, that too.
He was entirely unlikable through the whole movie.
That is true, and the fact that this was filmed and took place in 1989. It was a period piece. He wore purple Chuck Taylor All-Stars.
Okay.
He didn't take his job very seriously.
No, he did not.
I'm pretty sure he wore Hawaiian shirts.
He was riding on the coattails of Jonathan Silverfish's hard-working guy.
Yes.
And that's all he did. He just if it wasn't for that guy, he wouldn't even be working there.
And there's no way he would be going into the office on a weekend, for example, which is what they're doing in this.
And so their idea going to the beach is going to the roof and sitting in some hot tar.
So on the walk to work, another one of the few scenes that I remember is he gets mugged.
Or a guy tries to
mug them, and Andrew McCarthy is just like, it's too hot, asshole.
Oh, that's right. He slaps the guy.
Slaps the gun out of his hand.
Well, he doesn't
and I thought that was very funny when I was 14.
He has a knife. He just basically shuts down.
Oh, it was a gun. It was a gun.
Because it's too
hot.
There's
but then watching it this time, I was just like, wait a minute, who mugs people at 10 o'clock in the morning in Central Park?
Yeah.
He's just like, That's not. I mean, this guy either he's a very ambitious mugger or a very desperate mugger.
Most muggers are probably
hot.
pretty desperate.
Or the early mugger gets the worm. You know, like you never know. You know, nobody ever mugged anybody saying "I can't." You know.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, the opening scene is when he comes out of his apartment and there's a guy hosing down the walkway. And then an attractive woman walks by, and of course he turns around and hoses. Like he's looking at the woman, hoses down some innocent guy.
Yeah.
And this is what my wife said: '80s movies weren't a good time for women, were they?
They really weren't.
But if you notice the guy that he hosed down, he's wearing shorts and really high knee socks. Yeah,
I did.
So he deserved to get
okay.
Down, totally.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now. So I watched this with my girlfriend, and there's a scene when they show up to work.
I noticed that too.
And there are two dudes who are wearing suits
with shorts and high knee socks.
What is
what
this?
What the fuck is that?
I noticed that too, and I just think
no, I didn't notice it. Robin noticed it.
I noticed it too.
And in fact, she didn't want to rewind any of this movie except for that moment. She's like, did you see that? I'm like, what? I don't know. I was looking at something else.
I was looking at a fly on the wall.
And she's like, no. And Robin never rewinds movies, and she insisted. She's like, I didn't just see that. And and it's like, holy shit, yeah, it is two dudes.
Yeah.
In
so
suits.
That's 3 people in the first 5 minutes.
It's like Amish casual. I mean, I don't know what they're going for, But I didn't even notice the first. That's three guys.
But I love at the beginning when they get to the office, they realize there's no air conditioning, and Larry, Andrew McCarthy, suggests, let's go to the beach. And this tricked me the first time I saw the film. I thought, okay, they're just going to be slacking off on a beach. The first couple of scenes, I love how they're sitting there, and for a split second, you think they plausibly are on a beach, and then it turns out they're on a roof.
Did that trick
Because it
you?
just shows their faces kind of looking out.
Did it trick you again when you watched it this time?
No, I was spoiled for it.
It tricked me.
Spoiler alert, they're not on a beach.
It tricked me both times. And both times, I wondered why they didn't just go to the beach. Like, it must have been as difficult to drag an inflatable pool up to the roof.
They explain why.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You can go to the beach without going in the water as well.
Yeah.
But also, they're really crowded and stuff, and they just really want to be outside.
But so them being outside is laying in some hot tar.
Why didn't they go to the
on
park?
the roof?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the park.
Because clearly they're not having a good time up there.
No, it looks miserable. Because it's going to be way hotter up on the roof than any place else.
And they're getting melted tar. That was kind of funny, the melted tar.
I really liked it, yeah.
You know, and they get stuck on the papers and all that.
Yeah, I just find it kind of gross.
Yeah, because at first they're in a nice air-conditioned office.
It's not air-conditioned.
Isn't it?
The air-conditioning's turned off.
Oh.
They turn it off on the weekends.
It's turned off.
And so their solution to a non-air-conditioned office is to go to
a
a
hotter place.
hot, tarry roof.
With an inflatable pool.
Or
I don't know where the water came from. That doesn't really matter.
Whatever,
Details. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, so mugger at 10 a.m., security guard drinking. Oh, yeah, and there's some... I also love, in 80s movies, you just see people drinking cans of Coke. Grown-ups.
Yeah, grown-ups don't drink Coke
When's
anymore.
the last time I saw a grown-up who...
In the 80s
drinking a can of Coke, like...
I don't know the last time I drank a can of Coke.
I'll drink it like if I'm already doing something gross like eating at McDonald's or whatever, then I'll drink a Coke.
You might as well go with the whole
or if I'm
package.
if I'm like waiting for a flight or something, it's like okay, I'll go to the machine and get a Coke.
No, then you have to pee on the flight.
But it's like maybe once a year. But in a lot of these 80s movies that we watch, you just see people just guzzling Coca-Cola.
It's all product placement and stuff. You know, it's a big thing. I'm sure it's still a big thing.
But
now,
the weird thing is the rules back in the 80s for product placement. Like nobody got paid for that. Like,
sure. I'm sure
they would have paid a fee. And don't you remember, the Cola Wars, New Coke? Coke was a really big deal back then.
No, of course, Coke. Again, this is why I'm saying this movie is kind of an 80s time capsule.
Well, it's not
people
kind
are
of,
drinking
it is.
Coke. It sucks to be a woman.
Yeah.
And
it sucks to live in New York.
Dudes in short suits.
And of course, the dude's attracted to, what's her name? Catherine Mary Stewart?
Correct.
Yeah, dude's attracted to incredibly bland, typical.
No, she's a lovely woman.
She's lovely.
Women with zero personality.
But she can't. The whole cliche. You can't even talk. Like, dude, you're like an adult working in an office.
Yeah.
You still can't talk to a woman.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, you're not like 14 anymore. Like, it's just that kind of that cliche drives me nuts.
No, I like it. The guy's shy.
So basically, the dynamic we're talking about with these two guys is Chandler and Ross. Is what I figured out.
From Friends?
From Friends, yeah.
I've never
Andrew
seen
McCarthy
Friends.
is Ross. Sorry, Andrew McCarthy is Chandler because he's funny and kind of a dick. And the other one is...
But he's not funny.
Well, neither was Chandler.
No? Okay.
But he's supposed to be funny.
Supposed to be funny, okay.
And he's got a shit-eating grin on his face through the entire movie. And then Jonathan Silverman is Ross because he's uptight. And he says... By the way, did anyone notice how much Jonathan Silverman says, huh?
You were mentioning that earlier, too, when we were talking about it. I didn't notice it at all.
I found it distracting because he'd be like, go grab me that paper in the corner, huh? Oh, we're going to be late for the ferry, huh? Maybe Bernie's dead, huh?
Maybe it's a New York thing.
I think it's a New York thing. Anyway, well, once you notice it, you can't unnotice it.
So they're
up on the roof.
So the plot is they find an anomaly and the papers, the tar covered papers.
Yeah, they are accountants working for some big accounting firm.
And so it's not an accounting firm.
Insurance.
It's an insurance
It's
firm.
an insurance firm,
and they detect fraud.
Yes, and so they want to bring that to Bernie, who's the head guy there, the boss.
Yeah, I don't know if he's probably a partner.
I don't know. Anyways,
he's a boss.
He's their boss.
He's a big shot who wears a suit
with a really tacky office.
Yes.
Yeah.
But totally very 80s.
Oh, it is. Oh man, all that chrome furniture with the chairs that have like there's no back on them. And all these weird. So I did admire all the tacky 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All by design. It's supposed to be a tacky, crass.
Yeah. And he talks about his dick at work.
Well, they have a meeting with him. They show up and he's browbeating some guy over the phone over a paint job on a Maserati he wants to buy.
Right.
But we're also like 20 minutes into this movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like not much has happened. But we're introduced to Bernie.
Yeah.
This is what my wife says. When's he going to die and be funny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, here's the thing. Okay.
Because this movie's not funny at all yet.
This movie.
That's not true. I found it funny.
Really?
There's nothing funny going on though.
Sure
There's just these annoying guys.
So far, I haven't laughed. I'll be honest. And I'll also be honest. They drag it out. You're going to see a movie about abuse of a human cadaver,
which everyone loves,
and it takes. I'm guessing 40 minutes,
at least,
maybe even 45 before he dies, and because there's all this stuff with Jonathan Silverman. I keep wanting to see Jonathan Richman, the musician, but Jonathan Silverman is all goo-gaw for Lady Bland and her awful feathered hair.
She's not Bland.
And
I didn't think she was Bland.
He goes on
Catherine Mary Stewart. She's lovely as Gwen.
A charisma vacuum. Good
what's
God.
What's that?
I couldn't tell who was dead, her or the corpse.
What's that science fiction movie that she's in?
Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet.
Awesome movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for whatever reason, by the way, why can't protagonists in movies, at least in the 80s, ever not fall for the feathered-haired blonde? Like, why don't they ever go for like a cute brunette or a redhead or something? It's always.
I like how you put redhead in there.
Well, yeah. Well, I like redheads, but you know what I mean. It's
like making love to yourself.
It's always. Yeah, I know. It's having sex with somebody I love. I just, as a kid, I found blondes boring. It's like this Farrah Fawcett ideal that you're supposed to always.
You actually
like,
found
over.
You found blondes boring.
Like, well, in movies, it's always the same blonde, except it's a bunch of different actresses, but they're all playing the same blonde. And this Catherine
Mary Stewart.
Masterson,
whatever her name is, I just thought, like, okay, she's good looking, but she's rich and has no personality.
Well, they didn't give her much to work with here either.
That's true. And honestly, she was just a plot device. She could have. She really didn't need to be in this movie.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she did.
I don't know about that. They could have found something else for Jonathan Richmond.
Jonathan
Silverman.
Everyone asked their price.
Well, like a cat.
And Richards is the girl of his dreams.
They could have cut out that date scene.
No, the whole date scene was great.
It was painful. Like
it was
when they went back to his apartment. And he just gives one lie after another lie. He's like, why don't you just tell the fucking truth?
She wants to bone you.
Yeah.
She doesn't care if you live with your parents. Sorry.
Yeah, and then like the dad walks by, which is kind of amusing.
By the way, that's Ted Kotcheff.
Oh, is it?
Dad, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because he looked like a gross old dad in his underwear, which is fine. And they had a lie about that's just like, come on.
If you're gonna lie, hey, Brainiac, Mr. Accountant Man, not you. Anyway,
I thought you were talking
if you're
about me.
gonna lie, what you do is you go. She's like, I want to go back to your place. And he's like, okay. What you say is, I make so much money that I allow my parents to live in my apartment because I'm a great guy.
Yeah,
or like my dad has dementia or whatever.
Right. Or you say, no, we can't go back because it's being fumigated for lizards or something.
Or your best friend has offered you his apartment that has some cockroaches in it. Just fuck her in a cockroach house.
Yeah,
but he had to blow it with her for the events later in the movie.
Because the script said so.
Yes.
Anyway,
but I liked when they're walking on their date and there's like garbage trucks backing up and like
he takes her to a dive restaurant.
There's like crap blowing through the streets. It's like, what in New York? What happened in New York?
Again,
I thought Rudy Giuliani cleaned that place up.
This is pre-cleanup. This is pre-Disneyfication of the 80s.
Yeah, Giuliani didn't come in until like 92 or
It wasn't
something.
until like the 80s or the 90s when it started.
It still had been caught.
I mean, gentrification had begun, but it was still,
It was still grimy and interesting.
Garbage trucks and
So meanwhile, Bernie is having dinner with some mobsters and loudly talking about how he wants these guys murdered in a crowded restaurant.
Well, everyone's smoking.
Like with the Goombas right there at the table.
You skipped something very important though. Sorry, is that they take the results to Bernie.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
They
yeah.
show Bernie that fraud has been committed.
Yeah.
He's coked out of his mind, by the way. He gets up and leaves midway through the meeting, comes back, and not even midway, just at the beginning.
He's wiping his nose.
He's
So
totally
it's obvious what's
coked
going
up,
on.
yeah. And he basically tries to weasel out of it by saying that they've made a mistake, but they point out that, in fact, they have not made a mistake. And he says he's so grateful that they've detected fraud, an attempted fraud, that they should come to his house for the weekend, for Labor Day weekend in Hampton Island, and they'll party and do the work together and figure out the full fraud. Well, and they believe him.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't
you? Yeah. So
then he goes out
then
on
we
the date.
find out that Bernie is actually one who's been committing the fraud, and he so he goes and has a
cuts to him
a
at
dinner with the Sopranos.
They're like, he loves us, and then the very next scene, he's saying, "You got."
He's like, "You got to murder these guys," and then the mobster's Goomba is like
Goomba is that the lady
mistress?
She's hilarious. Her name's Catherine Parks.
She kicks. Well, she wasn't bad.
She's really funny.
There are some supporting
she's
cast
in
this movie
that there's one moment I liked in her, and it's coming up, but I'm not going to. The rest of it is like she was just so stereotypical. Boiny.
Yeah, I love
no.
it,
Okay. Here's the thing. Like, you got to be some kind of stupid. First of all, to go out to dinner with a mobster and his mobster cohorts and his girlfriend who you're boning,
and she's sticking her foot in his crotch.
Like no one's going to notice that at the table. And then it's like really loudly in this restaurant, like, so you're going to murder these two guys, right? It's like, yeah, I guess. And they're all like, and the mobsters are dumb. They're like, yeah, I could totally murder that guy, no problem.
Well, first they're like, we don't do that anymore. And I really like the hitman played by Paulie.
He's okay.
Don Calfa.
Now,
Did you remember what film that we've done for the podcast that he was in?
Yes, of course. It was
Return of the Living
Return
Dead.
of the Living Dead.
Oh, he was in that. Yeah, I couldn't remember,
but
that was it. He was Canadian as well.
I got to be honest. I didn't care for this movie. Spoiler alert. On second viewing, it didn't work for me. However, the hitman guy, I did think, oh, good, he's back.
Yeah,
I enjoyed him a lot.
I liked him. He's got that great expression, especially when his eyes bulge.
I wish the rest of the cast had the comedic chops of this guy. I think a big problem with this movie is that they didn't hire comedians. They hired a couple of actors.
And not great actors.
Please, they're
Yeah,
wonderful.
you know what?
in this film.
Imagine
and
if
Terry Kaiser.
Imagine if
as if Terry Kaiser doesn't give a genius performance.
Genius
in this film.
performance as a fucking.
Yeah.
Actually, he's a corpse.
Exactly.
He's the best thing in this movie.
Hell yeah.
Andrew McCarthy. I just wanted to punch the whole movie.
Yeah, but that was the point, though. He's supposed to be an annoying.
I think
there's nothing enjoyable about anything he's doing.
Okay, so
that's not true. I like him.
So 1989. Imagine if it had been like, I don't know, like Eddie Murphy wouldn't do it, but just as an example, let's say
the great Dan Aykroyd, maybe. Yeah.
no, like maybe the leads like Adam Sandler and Mike Myers or something, like some young and up and coming comedians, funny people. Because I got to be honest, Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy, I didn't laugh once.
They're called foil.
They're not funny. Whatever you call them, they're not funny.
No.
Like, they just didn't make me laugh. I kept wishing that comedians had starred in this movie.
Well, you know what the problem is, because they're not funny, and there's a large chunk of this movie before they get to the funny stuff, which is obviously the dead Bernie,
the slapstick corpse stuff.
There's so much filler and plot to get to where it should be. It should have gone a long time ago.
Yeah,
it makes it a bit of a slog.
And it was
not at all.
And I felt
this
it was
movie's tight,
completely under
hitting the beats.
It's not tight at all. There's no beats.
Yeah.
There's not hitting any
They
beats.
could have killed Bernie in the first 20 minutes, and then had a field day just
dragging him around,
fucking that corpse. but instead, there's all this like the Hobbit trilogy level backstory where it's just like, I don't need to know that he's got all these like mob ties and he's boning the.
Well,
yes,
no,
you do.
Thing,
Like,
all those things are intricate to the plot.
Yes,
but they're not funny. That's the problem.
No, they're funny.
And I didn't find the date funny. I didn't find the dad funny. I did find
the dad funny. I like the dad, but he's only on screen for about 30 seconds. But I did find Ted
small
Koch's,
doses. Yeah.
Like, I just kept waiting for Bernie being dragged behind a boat. I just kept waiting for that. And then it was like, well, when is, and even Robin said it, she's like, when does he die? And I'm like, you know what? I swear to God.
So did Tammy.
I remember him dying like 15 minutes in, but apparently it's longer.
When's he gonna die? We just kept saying
and
that.
then they get on the boat, and there's this whole scene where they think they're running for the boat that's leaving, but it's the boat that's arriving.
That was actually kind of funny.
Completely unnecessary. Adds 3 minutes to an already too long movie.
No, not too long.
Then they go to the island, and it's like you got to walk up the beach to the guy's house, and then like everything
that
took
30-second walk to the.
It wasn't a 30-second
walk. You already
walk.
missed. The hitman got out there first. So
yeah, the hitman got out there first.
Hitman phones him.
Now, okay.
Also, Bernie arriving at the island's very important. You see what a schmuck he is. He's blowing everyone off. He knows everyone, but he's kind of blowing everyone off.
Yeah, well, everyone on this island is a superficial dick.
Exactly.
Which is the only way that this story could possibly happen. Because if anybody actually was friends with any... I know
that's
the social satire.
It is. That is the satire.
The rich may as well be dead because they're not actually alive.
This movie puts Wall Street to shame. Like
I can't
overwrought.
The movie
Gordon Gekko, this crushes it for a statement on 80s greed and shallow behavior. Hell yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
Crushes it.
Is that going to be your parent?
I didn't.
God no.
Okay, I'll be honest. I didn't love Wall Street either.
I like Wall Street,
but I don't think there's. That is such a weird statement that you just made.
There's so much commentary.
There's no commentary.
Well, why don't you go with Society came out the same year as this? Why not just go with that?
That's not a good example.
Oh,
Society's
I love that. That's way better.
Anyway, whatever.
Example,
rich people are assholes. So I mean, that's
Wall
what they're
Street.
saying in the movie. So whatever. Anyway, okay.
Well, actually, one of the most horrific things for me was that boat ride they took. They're just crammed onto the boat with thousands of awful people dancing to awful music, and I couldn't. That's one of my worst nightmares is being on a boat with a whole bunch of awful
Andrew
people.
McCarthy.
Yeah,
and he comes up with a drink. He's like, "Hey, what's your name? You got big tits. I'm Maria. Let's see you later." And he just, whatever. So he's and then Jonathan Silverman's. So he's all
bummed out because his date went down the tubes.
Yeah, well, whose fault is that, Jonathan?
Well, it's his fault
because he lied to her the whole time.
Yeah, you don't have to fucking anyway. I didn't like Jonathan Silverman. I really, really couldn't stand this lame romantic trophy.
I didn't mind that the little romantic side.
Couldn't they give her a personality?
Yeah,
is that too much to ask?
Yeah, well, that's
why is he in love with her other than she's good looking and has good
looks? Not a lot of people just fall in love with people because they're good looking. Not a lot of people do that.
He wasn't in love with her. He was attracted to her. He wanted to date her.
Okay.
He wanted to ask her out.
You have a bad date. And then you're still moping like
you've never done that. You've never moped over a
just
bad
like
date?
I can't believe I'm going to this rich guy's house for the weekend after I embarrass myself in front of some woman who's going to be leaving in 3 days.
He's supposed to have. They're not supposed to be particularly deep characters, Larry or Richard, but it's showing he has a bit more substance. And he actually has a bit of a conscience because he screwed it all up. Yeah, he lied.
Well, if he
and
had
then
such
he screwed
a conscience,
it
then
all
why
up.
didn't he just...
Well, yeah, that's it. He did
said,
the wrong
my
thing.
My parents
and he
are
feels
dying
bad.
of radiation poisoning or something. I'm letting them live at my fancy apartment.
Radiation poisoning.
And so when I fuck you, don't
are
scream too loud because I don't want their hair to fall out anymore.
He's already been lying, and he feels
I
bad
gotta go vacuum
about
their
it.
hair off the pillow.
Yes.
He feels bad.
Anyway,
about
so
it.
then they get to the island.
Well, actually, I like when they're walking up to the house. And they're blown away by how beautiful and huge this mansion is on the beach. And they go, "How much do you think this is worth? $1.6 million, $1.7 million?"
Yeah, I know, right?
And we just started laughing.
Exactly.
You mean a condo in Vancouver?
Says a lot about inflation, considering like a shed in Vancouver is like.
But a house on the beach in the Hamptons or wherever this was.
Yeah.
You know the house.
But it made sense at that time.
I did a little bit.
But that's why it was funny. That was
the
one of the
inflation.
better. That might have been the first time I laughed in this movie. I'm not sure.
I did a little bit of research. That facade was actually built for the movie.
That's true.
That house, and they tore it down afterwards.
Really?
That's true.
So like the interiors were done at some other house.
Right.
Yeah.
But
He did a little bit of research. He read the production notes on the DVD.
I did, yes. Well, no,
Which is what I did.
No, I went to IMDb.
IMDb.
I went to IMDb Facts. And there's some hilarious reviews of this movie on IMDb. Anyway, so they get there and, oh my God. Okay, so.
Well, already the hitman's been there.
Okay,
though.
yes.
The hitman has rubbed out Bernie. You keep going. When's Bernie gonna die? When's Bernie gonna die? Well, Bernie already died
right.
before you
What?
skipped his death.
What
totally.
did I say?
Well, because you were saying earlier, oh, when's Bernie gonna die? And I was
Okay,
like,
I was
die? Well, he's dead already.
Okay, I was okay.
The hitman shows up.
I got it. Okay.
And they record everything on the answer machine by accident. You see that Bernie is blowing people off. This is when Bernie runs down. You see he treats people like shit because he's really mean to his handyman, and he's yelling at some guy who he owes money to, but fired long time before, some guy sleeping under his house.
The guy was sleeping in
so
the boathouse.
it's really setting him up. It's digging him deeper as a really bad son of a bitch. Then he gets to the house, and then the hitman phones.
Yeah.
And they accidentally record the plan onto the answer machine. Another important plot point.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what
tightening the air to
okay.
a completely airtight
Hold on.
script.
Just to be clear, everything you just said was what I was just about to say,
was it? Yeah.
but you freaked out.
Yeah, well, you were jumping ahead to Andrew McCarthy.
I wasn't.
Arriving.
I was just saying. Okay, so now Bernie is dead at the house.
But this is also
through
40 minutes, 45 minutes into the movie.
So to be clear,
huh?
Oh, you're right. 40 minutes into the Okay, we have 5 more minutes before we take a break.
Okay.
Well, why don't you take a break now since you just mentioned it?
Because I gotta get this
okay.
I gotta get this thought out.
Okay.
So the hitman shows up on the phone, blah blah blah. They accidentally record, kill the 2 schmucks, right? Now, when I saw it in back in '89, what I remembered was they showed up at the house, they discovered dead Bernie, then they listened to the tape, and they realized there was a hitman trying to kill them, and that was the reason why they had to pretend that he was alive. Now, upon the second viewing, that doesn't happen until the next day. Mm-hmm. So when they're partying with dead body Bernie, they're just a couple of fucking creeps.
Exactly, and that's what's so
awesome.
awesome.
Thereby rendering them completely unrelatable.
But okay,
completely unrelatable.
Question.
Okay,
like I can't remember if it was explained or even mentioned why they couldn't call the police. Or
it does. There's always a catch. Because the first time. Let me finish.
They just didn't want to call the police. Is what it boils down to.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens is first is they find he's dead. They realize he's dead, and Richard, Jonathan Silverman, wants to call the police. Yeah. And Larry's like, "No, don't. Let's party." And he's like, "This is disgusting. We can't do this."
So the only reason that Andrew McCarthy wanted to keep him alive is because they wanted to party?
Yeah,
yes.
He wanted to party.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretend he's alive just for that weekend.
That's stupid.
No. It's funny because then the people show up right away. The floating party walks in. It's just about 80s temptation. Like, everyone's kind of bad.
Yeah.
And let me finish.
I'm with you on this.
Just let me finish.
I'm with you on this.
Just let me finish.
I'm just backing you up.
No, okay.
Don't back him up.
But Richard's about to phone the police, and then it's the message here being everyone has their price. Larry's so shallow, he just wants to party. But then Richard, when he's about to call, he's actually on the line with the cops. He hangs up because he sees Gwen, the girl.
Yeah, he sees the boring
she
trophy
shows up
girlfriend
at the party.
So what?
Because he's like, whoa, this is my chance to worry. He doesn't care about Bernie being dead. He just hangs up.
He could do both. He could call the police.
Yes.
No,
and
he
then
wants to just because like Larry says, they'll be dragged into a police station all weekend answering questions. They're shallow.
They're shallow and selfish
totally
and
funny,
jerks.
Okay. And relatable crap. Since when do you have to relate? I don't have to watch a character and be like, oh my God, I feel him. I'm just like him. I think it's really funny that they're this despicable.
See, I found
relatable. Doesn't match your high moral code and standard, Dylan.
Excuse me for trying to identify with a protagonist.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want in movies, identify with any character.
I just think that's overrated. It's just like the narrator can't be dead.
Hold on. I remember.
That's not true. Reversal of fortune.
Sunset Boulevard.
My point is just this: American Beauty. My point is I like them more when they have to pretend Bernie's alive because there's a fucking murderer looking for them.
That's true.
That's when it gets funny.
Then when, I want to fuck this blonde I've known for 24 hours.
They're totally shallow, and what I like about it too is is completely brilliant scene because now when the floating party shows up,
I-
everyone
see,
thinks he's alive.
See, we beg to differ. I beg to differ on this.
Two big muscle men come in and they're massaging him, saying he's like looser than he's ever been. Like the guy is a better host, a better person dead than he is alive. For Christ's
Who
sakes.
isn't?
And everyone is so shallow at this party, no one notices he's dead. Classic scene. They are being despicable at this point, pretending that he's still alive just to party and to meet the girl, that sort of thing. But at the same time, as a viewer, I cut them a bit of slack because although they don't know this, we know already that Bernie. I know as the viewer that Bernie was trying to kill them anyway. So I really don't feel that bad that they're being this selfish with them. Even though obviously it's despicable to pretend that someone's still alive if they're dead.
I didn't find it despicable or anything like that or like distasteful. I just found it like baffling as why.
Yeah.
Because you're always putting yourself in the position of any of the protagonists when you're watching a movie. Like, what would I do in this and that?
Yeah.
And like, I don't think I would party with the corpse.
Or at the
sure I wouldn't.
At the very least, would you not have a conversation where it's like, okay, why don't we we'll just leave the corpse in the office and close the door. Yeah. And when everyone turns up, they go, I don't know where Bernie is.
Exactly.
But
and
they
just
don't
make sure,
expect
and then
people
make
to
sure
show
nobody.
up.
Yeah, because all the people just
showed up
out of nowhere.
unannounced.
It was like a wave of like white and pink and like a neon blue vomit pouring.
Because they call it a floating party, but they don't fully know the concept.
There's that one guy who is.
It's not like they invited people over.
He had the possibly worst shirt I think I've ever seen on a human being. It was like a whole bunch of a face or some people holding hands. It was some lightning bolt. I don't even know what was going on. He was the main party guy who had the most lines. I don't even know who he was or what he did, but it was just a cacophony of awful ugliness.
Is this how? This must be how Bernie lives.
Yeah,
it is.
This is what happens
parties.
every weekend.
Just he gets
horrible,
crass
people.
He gets
and almost
assaulted, like gang
almost
raped.
All
by
white,
party.
gross people.
Gross.
Yes.
That guy, like, there's the tennis guy who looks just like John McEnroe who's trying to buy his card from him.
Oh, and
he almost figures out. There's a moment where he's gonna like Bernie, and you think he's gonna figure it out, and then Andrew McCarthy turns his head and he's like, he's a tough negotiator, isn't he?
That was so terrible. That whole thing.
Oh no, wonderful.
Really?
This is so funny.
Did you think that
this party scene
did you
is
think
hilarious.
that tennis guy who was negotiating to buy? I don't know what he was trying to buy or whatever.
Yeah.
You thought that was funny?
Yeah,
the whole thing.
The whole
Wow.
party scene.
I thought
is
that was
hilarious.
so terrible.
I love when the guy's hitting on Jonathan Silverman, the older guy with the ascot in the shirt, and he's like, "Would you like a drink?" And Jonathan Silverman's like, "No." And then Andrew McCarthy's like, "Sure, I'd love some champagne." It just kind of jams it like.
Okay.
Were all the men gay in this scene? Because there's a lot of.
No, there's just that one guy.
No. I was like a whole.
Well,
I'd say like 50,
maybe.
70. Not a big deal, but I'm just curious.
Okay,
They didn't all straight. They strike
before we get too much into Party Town here.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to when Larry and Rich first show up at the house, they let themselves in.
Yeah.
And Larry just helps himself to champagne.
And he puts his fucking feet up on the counter like a douchebag.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I really want. That's what I really want.
We've
to smack
established
that
that he's this '80s dickhead, right? Because the '80s is the worst decade in human history, and that includes the Black Plague,
except for horror movies. But we'll get that's for another. podcast.
I mean, just the way people behaved and
Right.
what was considered acceptable behavior. Because
again, commentary.
And you have a point about Wall Street here, where it's just like because Rich is
greed is good.
Sorry, Larry is kind of a wannabe.
Big shot. He
wants to be a coked out playboy type,
but he doesn't want to put the work.
But he
in
doesn't
to do
work.
It.
No. Anyway, so when they first encountered dead Bernie, this is the first of many times I and Robin asked this question: How do they not know he's fucking dead? Like there is.
They're schmucks.
Now I get it when there's a party. You probably don't think, oh, the guy on the couch with the sunglasses is a corpse. But when those two go in, like they're slapping him and hitting him, and they're like, "Wake up, Bernie!" God.
Yeah, they kept slapping him.
They don't take very long.
And he says, "Don't slap." The one time I laughed in this movie was when Rich says, Don't slap him. He's your boss. And I thought of you, Darren. And then I imagined you being dead, and then me and Alex having that conversation.
Right. And then you're trotting my corpse around the video store to make sure. That we're,
just so we don't lose
that
the job.
cute customer I want to ask out is coming in. Pretend he's dead. She won't rent if he's pretend he's alive. She won't rent if he's dead
for some reason.
Anyway, but it's just like at that moment I didn't believe. It took him like 5 minutes to figure. I get it if
because they're dumb and they're
starstruck. A party scene,
but the thing, give them a little bit of credit. You're not expecting to show up and find your boss dead in a chair.
Yeah,
yes.
You're just not. Yeah.
Also, the first thing you do, or I should say, the first thing you don't do is when you find a body is start moving it around
or touching it.
Yes.
The first thing you do is call the fucking police.
They just think he's passed out.
You start dragging him around, but when they're dragging him down like the stairs or the boardwalk,
they don't do that.
Okay.
Well, that's later.
Which is pretty funny.
So the party happens, and you guys just reminded me. One of the people at the party, it was driving me crazy who he was. It's the creepy friend from Raising Arizona, but
creepy friend.
Yeah, there's this drunk guy at the party who you see quite a bit, and I was like, where have I seen this guy? And he whatever.
But I love the two muscle guys.
I'll put a link to the scene like on the YouTube.
The feathered hair.
That's so funny when the guy's like, you gotta pump some iron, and then the other guy's like, wow, Bernie, it's the loosest you've ever been. He's like,
it was mildly amusing.
How come nobody went, wow, Bernie, smells like you evacuated your bowels. You smell like shit.
Well, they're not going to insult the host. They're all a bunch of sycophants.
They're also not going to have sex with him or sit next to him on the couch.
Yeah, you do have to wonder why he's not smelling bad by day 2 at least.
Well, okay, and I'm not even talking rigor mortis.
He's partying hard.
I'm not even talking rigor mortis.
No, he's not. He's dead.
When a human body dies, like all that gunk in your colon just is expelled.
You mean the shit?
Yeah. Well, no, because even I know Alex would be like, well, what if he took a dump right before he got murdered?
Yeah, that too.
No, but there's still stuff up there that comes out after you're dead. That's why it sucks. That's my biggest fear about being dead.
How do you know this?
Oh, dude, read a book.
Well, they're going to a place. They're all shallow.
You shit your pants when you die. It doesn't matter.
They're just there to have a good time. They're all trashed and high. They don't care.
Okay, yeah, no, I get it. It's like a commentary on the suit. It's like being
they
there,
even address
but with a corpse.
Okay. No, but they even address it.
They're like being there but with a corpse.
Doesn't anyone realize he's dead?
How about Bernie? How about Bernie for president?
By the way, a shout out to Robert Klein, who spent 18 years on this screenplay.
What?
Yeah, 18 years.
Was he in jail?
Well, that was time well spent. And
airtight, Robert. Don't listen to these guys.
He also directed the second one.
Did he direct the second one? The second one, I'm not a fan of. Terry Kaiser is great in the second one, but the movie's bad.
Well, he actually gets to walk and stuff. He doesn't.
HR walking stuff.
Part 2, it's not
okay.
Good
Do we want to talk about part 2?
No. Let's just concentrate.
Because I got to be honest,
we got to get through this.
I got to be honest. Part 2 makes part 1 look like Citizen Kane, and I know Citizen Kane is the cliche go-to for great.
Well, you know what you should be saying now is Paddington 2. Well, because that is like the #1 movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's great. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen any of the Paddington.
Oh,
ones.
Man. Okay, you can actually skip Paddington 1 and just go right to Paddington 2.
Well, I know what's going on.
I had a Paddington bear as a kid.
Anyways, let's just talk about this movie. We can talk about this shit later.
Okay, so I will give you this. Terry Kaiser's a trooper.
Oh, Terry Kaiser, yeah.
Brilliant. I can't believe he wasn't up for an Oscar, and I'm not joking.
You've got to be fucking kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
That's the best thing anyone said all night.
What, if Dustin Hoffman does it for fucking Rain Man? What? A corpse is harder than a mentally disabled cliche.
How possibly is it?
He should have been up.
How is it harder to act as a corpse where you just got to just be like a boneless chicken? Like that's all you gotta do.
Totally
he literally
got
all he would do. He lay there in the sand while some kid pissed in his face or whatever. Yeah. He didn't do anything.
Move on over, Daniel Day-Lewis. My left foot.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
I was watching.
Well, he's not joking.
Great.
I was watching this movie.
It's a tour de force performance.
I was watching this fucking movie, and I'm like, Alex is punking us. There's no fucking way. Sorry, but. Academy Award.
Hell yeah, at least the nomination.
Well,
they don't have the balls. They notoriously leave comedy out all the time. Yeah, they always have.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any lines. He's a corpse.
Exactly.
With
it's up there with a
sunglasses.
great silence performance.
And by the way,
silent film.
the
It's a great physical comedy.
Maybe
Buster Keaton
maybe
out of the way.
if they'd actually dragged him behind that speedboat, then possibly.
Best supporting actor. It should have been.
Oh, dude, you're just trying to piss me off right now. Are you fucking?
Anyways, let's get back to the movie here. Yeah, well, I don't even know where we are anymore.
At least a Golden Globe.
What are those ones for the dead bodies when you die in a stupid way?
The Darwin Awards?
There you go. Give him a Darwin Award.
But you have to die for.
But he didn't die in a stupid way. He just got a needle in the butt.
Yeah, he was fine, man. But if you honestly think he put in a better performance than Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man,
I hated that movie.
Well, whatever.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a whole thing in a lighthouse. Okay, so Bernie's body goes missing.
Well, first of all, they take Bernie out of the room to hide him somewhere because it doesn't get discovered. Oh, actually, they move him because Gwen shows up at the party and she wants to go talk to him, and that'll blow everything.
Because she's the only smart, non-shallow one there.
That's right, and she's the only one who actually wants to go have a conversation with someone and actually say the words "thank you"
for getting me the
she's
job.
She's the humanity. Yeah, she got him the job. She goes in there and two really gross, disgusting older guys totally hit on her and gross her. And one of them's a friend of her father, so she splits before she gets to talk to Bernie. So then they decide it's too dangerous to have Bernie in the room. So they decide to move him elsewhere, but accidentally drop him over a railing. And I love Andrew McCarthy's line about I'd give him an 8.5, like for the dive.
Didn't someone mention have you ever seen From Here to Eternity?
Well, what happens is at this point they drop Bernie over the railing and then notice Gwen on the beach.
Right, and then the tide comes in really fast and sucks Bernie's corpse out
Andrew
the water.
Yeah,
McCarthy.
you don't see it get sucked out. You just see tide coming in.
Well,
the tide's getting close to him.
Implied.
But it gets close to his body, and they make a reference. Andrew McCarthy makes a reference to the girl being on the beach, which Gwen is, and like the beach, moonlight from here to eternity.
And then there's a scene of them like actually lying on the beach.
Well, they go to the lighthouse first.
Yeah, which is
and
weird.
then Bernie's. Oh, they go. There's another scene that could have been cut out.
No,
actually, no. We watched this scene when they go to the lighthouse. They climb, 40 flights of stairs to get to the top.
Yeah.
Like, they would be like, I would be dying if I climbed those flights. But anyways, then he gets blinded by the light of the lighthouse and falls all the way down the stairs.
Yeah.
And I said to Tim, if this wasn't a comedy, he would be dead.
At the very least, he'd have a dislocated shoulder or a broken leg.
Well, he's making jokes about it. He said, I've always wanted to limp. He thinks he's cracked a rib.
I hated everything about it. I hated the lighthouse.
Also, you're saying like you want more of this more than Gwen in the movie, and then they give her another scene.
No,
but
once
you want to cut out.
What?
There's just no pleasing you.
She's the sexy woman that he went up a fucking lighthouse with, and that's it.
I
know nothing about
So
Gwen. Like at no point do they have she never has any agency in this movie, except for Jonathan Silverman is horny for the blonde. That's her entire role in this movie.
Was she blonde? I thought she was
Plus,
brunette.
she's the only
blondie,
human
brownie,
character.
whatever.
Yeah.
But and then he falls down the stairs. It's like, okay, you're dead. No, you're not dead.
He
okay,
should have been dead.
And then they're making it on the beach, and he washes up.
Yeah, Bernie washes up behind them.
And it's that whole once again, and I don't know. Again, this is why I wish that there were some actual comedians in the leading roles, because every time blustering, stammering Jonathan Silverman is like, no, don't do that. Like he's so bad at lying.
I
he's
thought
good, and I don't want a slick comedian there. I like that it's
Slick.
two average.
I just
schmucks.
didn't.
Well,
It's
I
guys.
liked him more than I liked Andrew McCarthy, who I thought was terrible.
I preferred Andrew
He's-
McCarthy.
His smarmy, gross, just annoying character who has no arc whatsoever. It's just all the
Not
he's
true. He redeems
he's
himself at the
not
end.
really. No,
does.
he's
He
just
does.
he's all for himself. Every time
Exactly.
it's mentioned that they're going to get in trouble, it's always I'm going to get in trouble.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what's so funny though.
No, that wasn't fun.
It's hilarious.
I didn't find it hilarious. I just found it like
because I love it.
I found
when
it
he's
annoying.
Like, why do things like this always happen to me when Bernie's dead? Like
He said it wasn't
I was
funny though. I
laughing-
just
oh, very funny.
I just found it like Like, well, you're quite the asshole. Like,
Exactly.
it wasn't funny.
I can see
because his delivery was poor because he's not a good actor
so
and
funny.
he's smarmy. And I just want like either a big cane to come out and pull him off the screen or a big pie to him in the face.
I can see both of your points here. Like, I actually think there is room for humor in this script, but what kept ruining it for me were the leads. I hated both of them.
Room for humor. This
Yeah.
movie is packed. With
I didn't
humor.
honestly.
Hey man, this guy spent 18 years writing all these jokes.
Tuning this.
The only time I
Mercedes.
I laughed on the one line there with "Don't hit your boss," but only because of Darren. And then the one saving grace, I wouldn't even go that far. I would say the one thing that kept me watching it was the Hitman guy. At least,
but
at least he was a funny actor.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy, they're about as funny as a cry for help. Like
totally funny.
I was just like, I just wish. Again, I kept imagining if Adam Sandler and like Mike Myers or some actual whatever.
Anybody
They
else
would have been mugging.
Anybody
and
else?
I like these guys.
Or you mean
no.
actual being
Schmuck.
funny as opposed to like a couple of cheesy, good-looking actors who, by the way, had unremarkable careers before this and
after.
It's like, okay, Brighton Beach Memoirs and then Pretty in Pink.
Was that St. Elmo's Fire?
So Bogart had an unremarkable career before Maltese Falcon. They're not Bogart, but I mean,
Yeah, but
you don't need to have a non-stop.
They're definitely not Bogart.
Stellar career to make movies.
Bogart didn't do
And McCarthy had been in a few big
Bogart
hits.
didn't do
Pretty in Pink.
slapstick one-joke comedies. Like, I don't mind there just being the one joke. Nobody notices that he's dead. Okay, I'm okay with that. But if you're gonna have that as the fulcrum of your comedy film, you have to have flexible improvisational comedians. Imagine if maybe Eugene Levy and Joe Flaherty were the leads in this thing. It would have actually been funny.
John Candy.
Yeah, John
Not
Candy would have been great,
necessarily, no.
but
Not necessarily.
But Andrew McCarthy,
John Candy and Tommy Lee Jones.
He's got that dumb smile through the whole. It made me want to punch the television.
Me too.
The character is a jerk, but it's hilarious.
This is where I didn't find it
And
hilarious.
I wouldn't want Mike
all.
Myers in it for Christ's sake.
I'm only choosing.
Or Adam Sandler.
I only chose those.
We're both nobodies when this film got made.
Alex,
if you want to
Alex,
talk stellar
Alex,
careers,
I only chose those two because in '89 they were both on Saturday Night Live. I just meant maybe Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy.
Doesn't matter.
Funny people would have made this movie funny.
Yeah.
But
these guys aren't funny
The only
people.
person who's funny in this movie is the Hitman. And
Yeah.
that includes Terry Kaiser.
Terry Kaiser is hilarious.
I didn't think he was hilarious at all. I thought he was just
the
kind of
party goers.
I thought as a dead corpse body guy, he was pretty good.
Anybody could have played that role.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, but he did though.
All right. Okay. Fine. Of the role that anybody could have played.
But yeah, he was fine doing it.
He was fine when we flopped over and fell.
Yeah, we all could have played
and
that
his
role.
arms went around the hitman.
Actually, that was kind of funny.
And then when he was lying there with a string around his wrist that was being
I don't even want to talk about that scene yet. But listen, okay, so we're at the point they're back in the house. They put Bernie up in the bed.
Right.
And then his mob girlfriend shows up.
Yeah.
Boiny.
Boiny.
She's hilarious in that scene.
She's pretty good. I'll give you that.
She has the best entrance. Like, she opens the door and does some weird 360 wipeout into the. And I actually said that was a pretty good entrance. Yeah. That was, for me, that was one of the best parts of the movie. Just her entering the room. But then she goes up and fucks the corpse.
Well, she goes up to talk to him, and he better not be with anyone else. And the two. Silverman and McCarthy resign themselves to, okay, well, she'll find the body. She can phone the cops. We have our fun. Okay, fine. But she goes up, and then what do you think's going on there?
This absolutely makes no sense whatsoever.
I really hope that
he's better dead than alive. That is so funny.
But so he died with a boner?
We don't know what goes on.
Now, I don't have...
She's so trashed and crass and mean, this woman. She's probably just rolling all over him, getting off on it.
It's implied she went and had sex with his corpse.
That's correct.
Now, I don't have
better than ever.
I don't have female genitalia myself.
You don't?
But I gotta think a cold, because at this point it's been a few hours.
Yeah, it's been many hours.
And by the way, did anyone bother to wipe Bernie's ass? So he's probably covered in shit.
Yeah.
Alex. Yep.
That's
all covered in shit.
And
so hold on. To your satirical point about the wealthy, there's such horrible people that nobody notices when they're covered in feces, and they have a cold,
he probably
dead
shat himself.
dick. Like, the rich people just have cold, dead, shit-covered balls and dicks, and women don't.
Well, also,
it's ridiculous.
And the guy is spying on them. The mafia guy, like he has a guy,
right?
The mafia boss, her husband or whatever. The mafia boss has a guy who goes around and spies on her.
Right. He's the other guy.
Yeah, and
so he can see from outside the apartment that she's on top of him or something. I can't remember the exact. But okay.
Well, he sees her, takes her clothes off and head for the bed.
Oh, which is I like this kind of weird sort of dark turn ahead. But I'm thinking like okay, so she's having sex with the corpse.
A corpse.
Assuming that he has rigor mortis at this point and his dick is erect. Say, so like, how long do you have sex with the corpse before you realize, well, he's not going to come because, well, when he can't.
Well, she doesn't care.
Well, she came.
But and then she just gets up and leaves while he's just still laying there. Is that what's implied?
Trash. She's supposed to be.
So that's what's implied.
Of her mind.
So he's still laying up there with a boner.
Yeah.
But then it just goes away for the rest of the movie.
Well,
like,
we don't really know, do we?
We do see it.
Okay, now, but this leads to my next question: how much maintenance are these guys doing on Bernie? Because she comes down and she's like, "Oh, can I have a drink?" And that's the best Boyne's ever been, and all of that, which means she must have pulled his pants down, his shitty pants, and then climbed on his cold rigor mortis dick and ridden it
forever.
Whatever. She somehow. I mean, I won't get into the semantics of it, but she got.
I want
on
the
somehow.
Well,
Well, she got wet and he got.
Okay, I take that back.
Anyway,
I don't want the semantics.
So who knows? Who knows? Like whatever. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? And she comes downstairs and then she leaves. I guess on the morning ferry.
She kind of
anyway.
disappears.
Next time we see Boyne, Andrew McCarthy is
playing Monopoly appropriately.
Right. So did Andrew McCarthy wipe? Frankly, the sex juice off of his dead rigor mortis dick,
or did he have to
change his pants? How much?
You're looking for a little bit too much.
Too
much? This is basic logic.
Did he have to grab the dick and like force it back down to get his pants on?
Yeah, because clearly he
either
pulled.
I wish I would have seen a little bit of that.
He either pulled the pants up and zipped them up and then dragged because he positioned him outside.
He did.
Right. So did he pull up his pants or did he change his pants or
Why
what?
don't you ask him?
But write
him a fan letter. And
question: why did he bother dragging the corpse out into the sunshine?
I agree.
And then tying his hand so he could wave at people and play Monopoly with them.
Yeah.
And then actually basically yell playing Monopoly.
So you know what I wrote in my notes? I wrote sorry. Lighthouse scene party. By the way, that party ended really quickly.
Yeah, everyone's just gone.
It's like they come
except
back,
for that one guy with the terrible shirt.
They come back 20 minutes later.
Ended as quickly.
Mistress Bones Bernie. Oh yeah, and she was singing "Ookie Kookie Kookie Pow Pow Pow."
I love that song.
I mean, I sing that after. It's just it's like a stimulus response after ejaculation. Anyway, the next day Andrew McCarthy is borderline Buffalo Bill. This is where he enters Buffalo Bill from the Silence of the Lambs level. Like now you're starting to play board games with a fucking cadaver, and
he swipes his watch
and
too,
I'm
his
still,
Rolex.
I understand.
At least he
stealing
wasn't
Rolex.
making a dress out of him.
He may as well have been. What's the difference between making a dress out of people? Or taking a corpse and playing Monopoly in public with him.
I think there's a little bit of a difference.
Imagine like the trial, like ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Jonathan
my
keeps
client,
addressing this. We're gonna go to jail. We're gonna go to jail.
Yeah, you're not allowed to violate a cadaver.
But they haven't violated him yet. They made him play Monopoly.
I would say that like dragging him out onto the patio and tying a string around his wrist so that he looks like he's alive is a violation.
Maybe a little bit. But like, there's not much of a crime there.
You're starting to agree with this one over here.
Well, I'm not. I am the go between you guys.
I I just couldn't get past how creepy and horrible these two guys. I didn't like them in the first place. I just thought they were annoying. But as the movie progressed, I actually started to think that they were beyond horrible, like irredeemably bad. But that didn't need to be the case, because if their reasoning had been that they were afraid for their lives, then I would have been on board with them. But
that's coming soon. It would have been a short film.
It should have been in the beginning.
It would have been a short film then.
They went a whole day with just partying with the corpse.
They were fine.
And play Monopoly with them for some reason.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
of course, Monopoly. It's 80s.
Oh, and by the way, Jonathan Silverman loses any of his holier than thou status.
Holier than thou? You're the holier than thou.
When
pal.
No, what I mean is when he comes out on the patio the next day and he sees Andrew McCarthy playing Monopoly, he's like, "Oh, this is indecent, and what are you doing?" and all of this shit. And it's like, dude, you want to fuck Gwen.
Exactly.
Like, you're no better than this guy.
Exactly.
Where do you get off?
But what's wrong with wanting to have sex with a woman you're attracted to? Like, what does that have to do with the guy playing with the corpse?
I'd probably tuck my boner aside, call the cops, and go, well, I guess I'm not fucking that woman.
How does one tuck a boner aside?
Then
do you have a special pocket in your underwear for the boner to go in there?
It's kind of like a holster.
You have a holster. It's
yeah, but it's on the inside of my pants because I've got such a
enormous
rock hard.
That's always hard.
It's too bad that Gwen would never see it because I'm a decent human being who would have called the police. And I realize I can't even believe I'm reading so much into this, but
we are reading too much into this.
Anyway,
we are everyone. Well,
if it had been funnier, I would have looked the other way. But the movie just kept not being funny, and I just kept not laughing.
The movie's hilarious.
Okay, and so there's a scene when for some reason there's a child burying.
Oh
Bernie.
yeah, so Andrew McCarthy
because Gwen shows up again.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
about to call the
body,
cops,
so
and then
he
Gwen
tosses her off the
shows
side
up.
of
Yeah,
the
this
dock
chick
again.
can't take a hint
because she wants to speak to Bernie.
Yeah,
so Jonathan is trying to come up with a way to keep her from, or Richard is trying to keep her away from the body with a long, convoluted explanation. Then he comes clean. He actually says, "You know what? He's dead." And in the meantime, Andrew McCarthy dumps the body over the railing.
But hold on, but he had previously lied to her twice about dead relatives.
He's right. So she doesn't believe him.
She doesn't believe him. Exactly.
It's the boy who cried dead corpse.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, so she's like, "Oh yeah, he's dead, just like your."
But why is this kid burying Bernie?
Well, first of all,
because kids suck.
Because kids, well,
I like when they go and they almost got Bernie's face buried. And they go down and they chase him away. He goes, "You little bastard!"
They drop him over, and the hitman's back because the hitman's been told.
Oh, they drop him on the hitman, which is actually a pretty funny little scene.
It's a hilarious little scene.
That's pretty funny.
He fights, because the hitman's come back to finish the job because he's been told that Bernie's still alive and actually had sex with the mobster's girlfriend. So he's come back, and plus, the hitman at the beginning of the film has said that since they don't do many hits anymore, he's rusty.
Right.
So they think, wow, he really is rusty. Yeah. He didn't get the job done. So he comes back out to finish the job thinking that Bernie's still alive and ends up fighting the corpse.
And then strangling him on the beach.
Yeah, leaves him on the beach. And then a little kid comes along. Kids love burying people in the sand.
How do you know that?
Well, when you're kids, like when me and my friends were kids, we'd take turns burying each other.
You see some adults sleeping on the beach instead.
Well, no, but it works. It's a bratty, little snotty kid.
So why did... Okay, so Larry and Rich look and they see that Bernie's being fucked with by this kid.
And they chase the kid away.
They chase the kid away. All right.
And then they take him in and they vacuum his face.
They do.
And he has a toupee. And
then you think the hitman's shown up. Or wait, they go back in. Then they're like, wait, they bring him back in the house.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the hitman's been back and has tried to kill him again. And then they're like, okay, now we're going to call the cops. And this is when they discover the answering machine.
Yeah, they staple his hair back on.
Now, this is what should have happened before the party. Because then I would have been on board with all of their shenanigans. But instead, they gave me 20 minutes of them being creeps.
Which is hilarious.
And so now they got to pretend that Bernie's alive because Bernie says, "Don't kill me when those guys..."
Don't kill them when I'm...
Or don't kill those guys. Yeah, don't kill me at all.
Right.
And also don't kill them when I'm around. So they're like, let's tie our shoelaces together and make a run for the boat.
Which was actually pretty funny.
Very funny, yes.
Pretty funny.
And rigor mortis hasn't set in yet.
And there's no bloating or flies
or flatulence
or stench.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, I'm sure there's all of that, but film you can't smell.
I would have actually been super on board with this movie if it had been disgusting, like with like mice crawling out of his dead mouth.
It would have been
stuff.
way better if the corpse got grosser as the day went on.
Like if his eye starts falling out and stuff, and his ear
or,
falls.
Yeah.
I know he was newly dead, but he did float
it.
around in the salt water for a bit. Like he should have. He should have had like crabs
but
coming out of his asshole.
After floating around, they mention how he's heavier. Bernie is a speedboat, and they're aware of it because a really beautiful woman earlier in the film.
Tawny.
Yeah.
Tawny.
I've never heard the name Tawny outside of the 1980s.
No, of course not.
There's no 21st century Tawnies.
Actually, I knew.
That's not true. I
knew a Tawny. She got hit in the face with a baseball one time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A Tawny worked with me at the Rio, so.
It was funny because this woman that got hit in the face with a baseball. This was back in Guelph, and that was the last time I saw her. And then I saw her 20 years later. She lived 3 doors up from me when I moved here.
Wow. And did she have a baseball-sized dent in her head?
No, but as soon as we saw each other, I said, "Hey, last time I saw you got hit in the face with a baseball." She goes, "That's right."
Did she at least have a scar that said like Spalding?
Yeah,
across her forehead?
just all the stitches.
Yeah,
from the baseball.
And it's autographed by.
It was pretty cool. She was nice.
I can't name any famous Babe Ruth.
Yeah, Babe Ruth from 1927.
That's how hard he hit. The ball went into orbit, and then it hit Tawny in the head.
It went through time and space.
6 decades later. Jonathan Silverman, because he's a moron, immediately falls out of the boat, and then Andrew McCarthy goes back and gets again. That was unnecessary, and it wasn't very funny when he fell out of the boat.
No, it was not funny at all. Actually,
and then they're zipping around, and then Barney falls, him hitting the buoys, and boy, did it not make me laugh this time at all. Although I'll give the editing. I actually noticed that the editing was good.
Well, when they first started dragging him, you see his body just like sort of flopping in that was pretty funny. But hitting the boys wasn't funny at all.
Yes, it was. Bong. And I love when they pull him on board, and there's a reference to the grossness of you guys. So once he's like, ah, and it's like, what you think? Because his skull's broken. Somebody, he lost my sunglasses. Another great shallow moment.
No, but imagine if like a water crab crawled out of his mouth, like
that.
Crab. Like that's what I want.
Instead of what, like a moon crab.
Well, I'm just thinking of like that scene in the was it the Abyss? When they go into that submarine where they're all dead underwater and a crab comes out of the guy's mouth. I'm like, you have a corpse to play with, and the best you're giving me is
hitting a boy.
I lost sunglasses.
Yeah. We're watching after this water skiing scene. Tammy, my wife, she goes, "Is this where they stopped writing the movie?" Which I thought was a pretty good line.
So they run out of gas. Which is a good plot point because, I wouldn't have thought of that in a panic. And so they swim back with Bernie. Which reminded me of the end of Jaws.
Well, yeah, I know. Why did they jump out of the boat? So the boat ran out of gas. Why are you jumping out of the boat?
Because they don't have a paddle.
Well,
use Bernie as a paddle,
or maybe set up a flare, or maybe get on the boat radio and say, "Hey, we ran out of gas. Come and get us."
It's Wigan at Bernie, so they use Bernie as a float.
I'm just like, as soon as they jumped in the water, exactly the end of Jaws. They're just waiting to get eaten by like sharks and stuff.
Why they weren't singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home"? While that would have been funny.
Yes.
And then they get to the beach, and of course, there's still hot chicks everywhere, and they're dragging his waterlogged corpse. Again, still nobody notices a bloated waterlogged corpse.
He's not bloated, unfortunately.
They mention when they're putting them back up in the bed. God, he's so heavy, and then when Jonathan Silverman's like, yeah, he, he's been weighing. He's been floating in the ocean. Then Gwen sees him again and comes into the house.
Do either of you, does anyone in this room think that you could get a corpse 2 blocks down Commercial Drive without somebody noticing?
Yeah, actually, I could see that happening in this neighborhood.
But Commercial Drive is the only place in town you could do that.
You couldn't really do it because in Commercial Drive, people care. That's the point. It's about the setting, I mean. In Commercial Drive, there's a lot of people like, hey, is your friend okay?
But if you're
they would intervene,
if you're
but
in a
not
drunken rich beach place, no one's going to notice.
Or like maybe Metrotown Mall or something like.
Yeah, because everyone looks like a dead zombie.
I'll give you that, but at some point, fingers got to start falling off and shit.
Lighten up! It's Weekend at Bernie's.
You know what it is? You know what I felt like watching this movie? Do you ever see that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine rents Weekend at Bernie's?
No.
And and it just cuts to her, and she's sitting there like in her pajamas watching it, and she's got this disgusted look on her face, and she's like, He's dead, you idiots.
Oh, who cares?
And
Seinfeld.
like, it makes
it
perfect.
overstayed its welcome. It served its purpose early
You're
on.
right, Alex.
Larry
Seinfeld
David-
is garbage, but
no,
Weekend at
it's
Bernie's
not.
is better
I
than
didn't
Wall
say-
Street.
I didn't say that Seinfeld was garbage, but Seinfeld had its own flaws. When Larry David left, so did the humor. Worst final episode ever in a TV
Okay,
series.
we don't need to get into
fuck
that
that.
because we've only got about 10 more minutes here.
Yeah.
Horrible kid. Of
I don't
course,
care
what
if
happens.
Seinfeld
The
didn't
lights go
like
off.
this
boat
movie.
scene.
So they're back at the house, and then the hitmen, or no, some angry dudes show up and they knock them out. I don't know who these guys. The
One
gardener
guy, yeah.
and
and another guy.
Yeah,
goes out to
I
get
can't
him.
remember when the gardener.
They're not
shows
professional
up.
killers or anything, but
They
they
just show
both
up.
have beef with Bernie.
But yeah, and the other guys think that they are the killers.
Yes.
But
He hits that one guy really
Yeah,
hard.
he
really
does.
hard.
They're brutal.
Like crushed their skulls.
Yeah.
Not just knocking them
He
out.
could have been. What would have been funny is if they killed that guy.
It was a piece of wood they killed it, knocked that guy's out.
A log.
Yeah.
Like if they'd actually killed a couple of people, and now they're like.
And then
they got like 5 corpses or 3
and
corpses.
then so that the other hitman shows up and shoots Bernie 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
And at this point, what happens is Gwen shows up. They've put the bodies into the closet. The 2 guys they knock out. Bernie's upstairs in the room, and Gwen has seen them. Enter the house with Bernie, and she's there one more time to talk to Bernie and find out what the hell's going on. That's when Jonathan's trying to explain everything to her. Jonathan Silverman. Andrew McCarthy drags Bernie downstairs as proof that he is dead, and she's in shock. That's when the hitman enters and proceeds to pump Bernie full of
I
blood.
did find it funny. Actually, every time the hitman was on screen, I cheered
Extremely
up a bit.
funny. And 2 of my favorite lines in the
extremely
movie.
funny.
By the way, another line I love of Andrew McCarthy is early in the movie when they're like, "Where is Bernie?" He went to get more daiquiri mix. But I really love when the hitman shoots Bernie in front of them and then looks and Jonathan's like, I didn't see anything. I was looking at my watch. And Andrew McCarthy goes, "I'm blind." Like, I loved it.
Really?
2 other great
I
lines.
found the hitman funny, and I found him shooting Bernie funny, and then the look of relief on the hitman's face after he shoots him.
Yeah.
That guy's a pretty good character actor.
But then I didn't find it funny what the reactions.
Oh, I thought their reactions were
Oh,
hilarious.
at this point, my notes say some dumb shit happens and then it ends.
And then Andrew McCarthy. Then the hitman starts chasing them.
Yeah.
Hitman has a nice little moment where he's out of bullets, and they're like, "Ha ha!" And then he has another gun.
Yeah.
And he's just shooting wildly in this house.
He's totally gone off the deep end at this point because he keeps thinking that Bernie's coming back to life.
Which I do actually think is the funniest element of this movie is the hitman's perspective that no matter how many times he kills this son of a
keeps
bitch,
coming back.
he just keeps coming back, and he's getting crazier and crazier, and he's like, "Am I crazy?"
Because he thinks he's lost it.
Yeah, so
and I kind of wish they'd established that more in the beginning. Like, look, hitman, if you don't kill this guy, I'm going to kill you or something.
It would be an interesting.
You don't need that. Yeah, I know. You have to spell everything out in giant capital letters.
Yeah, it's
Old
called
Dylan
a
here.
screenplay that people
Well,
understand.
no. Earlier he says that. Well, obviously he has to get the job done. You don't need to be. We're going to kill you if you don't.
I'm not saying literally. I'm just saying like there was one.
Well, if only Mike Myers and Adam Sandler had written.
There was. I regret my Mike Myers, Adam Sandler comment.
And at this point, they
I meant
down.
Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy is what is like. If those 2 had been the stars, this movie would have been really funny.
I would have think maybe I would go with like Ed Asner and Cloris Leachman would have been a good.
Cloris Leachman is Bernie.
Yeah,
I think they should have done it with Belushi and just had cast his corpse.
Actually, and it would have been fairly fresh.
You could have had that.
Anyways, let's just
Chevy Chase and
let's
Dan
wrap
Aykroyd
this
could drag
fucking
him
thing
around.
up. Let's put a bow on it.
Anyway, Andrew McCarthy shows his quality by thwarting the bad guy.
He does.
He kind of strangles him a bit with a telephone cord
and punches him out cowardly, like come on, let's fight, while the guy's all tied up.
And then and then what's her name? The bland woman. She sees that there's a reason why this guy I met 2 days ago has been such an asshole. I'm actually in love with him.
Yeah.
And then
he's only lied to me.
By the way,
Constantly.
and I love when they're like, too, do we look like the kind of people who would kill somebody and they totally look nuts? Like, that's hilarious.
And then at the end, they're like sitting at the end of a boardwalk conveniently, and something goes wrong with Bernie's body.
Of course, he rolls.
And he rolls
he's being
down
put in
the
an ambulance.
boardwalk.
He lands behind them, and he's gonna spend the weekend with her and her parents. Larry's gonna just continue to party in the house, which I thought was really funny.
I don't
too.
mind that.
And then Bernie lands behind him, and they hear, "Hey, Bernie!" Someone calls out about, hope you have another great party tonight.
A couple
They
women
turn
walk
around.
by,
And he's sitting behind them, and then they go, "Ah!" and they run away.
And then that murderous little cretin kid comes up and wants to bury him.
That's a great ending. Finally, he gets
a
buried.
great ending. That is the most cliche Saved by the Bell
Ugh.
ending. I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god, really? That's how you're ending this movie?"
Well, you couldn't believe that they're ending this movie.
You're right.
That way?
I could believe it.
Yes, that's Weekend at Bernie's, folks.
That was Weekend at Bernie's. I'm trying to think if there's anything we missed.
No, it doesn't matter if we missed anything. Well, let's talk about our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
And
I absolutely love this movie. There'll always be haters for it, like the critics did at the time, but those who believe and keep it alive as a cult movie, keep believing. This film's just going to keep getting better with age. It says so much about the 80s.
Don't stop believing.
A lot more than so-called serious acclaim films like Wall Street. Has aged way better.
What's
It
your
makes its
beef with
points
Wall Street?
so much better. Also, 40 years from now, in the Comedy Classic Film Festival.
I love that you love this movie.
I love it.
I
think it's
love that you
hilarious.
love it.
I love turning on it, and just so you know, I always own a copy, but yeah, I have a backup copy.
Good.
This
Just
movie
for this scenario.
a lot of movies. You go
in
to
case there's a fire in your apartment.
you go to the average charity store.
It's like Sophie's Choice. Which Weekend at Bernie's do I keep?
You go to the average charity store, and you'll see lots of movies, but Weekend at Bernie's turns up a lot like Office Space. I'll always grab a copy and pay it forward. Last time I paid it forward, I sent it to my nephews in Nova Scotia. They live on a farm. They named the freshly born calf Bernie.
Wow.
And because it was dead?
He ended up slaughtered. I'll tell you that.
And they drag the corpse
He
around.
dragged
with
the
it.
steak the next night.
Yeah, they tie the corpse of the calf. What's your pairing?
My pairing would be another film by Ted Kotcheff that not nearly enough people have seen. More people have seen Weekend at Bernie's, but Wake and Fright. Brilliant, dead serious film he made in Australia, which is all about a teacher going on vacation.
So it doesn't rhyme with bacon fright?
Wake in
Fright.
Wake in Fright. And the guy, it's about a teacher who goes on a holiday and descends into crazy alcoholism and has all these weird experiences. And it's completely brilliant, underseen film. Much more serious in tone than Weekend at Bernie's. It's a serious kind of dramatic thriller.
So are you pairing this because it's the same director?
Because of the director. Oh, and there is a holiday in it. Just because I think this director is really underrated, Ted Kotcheff. He's had a really interesting career. And Wake and Fright is another excellent example of how good he is when he's good.
Quick question.
And he's great, actually.
And that's the only pairing you have?
Well, My Man Godfrey would work too.
Sure.
You're on the ball this week, Alex.
I'm on the ball.
Holy moly.
No drinking, no smoking.
Quick question.
First sober podcaster. Oh, God. I shouldn't say that.
Have you seen Weekend at Bernie's 2?
I have. And Terry Kaiser is great in it, but it's not a good movie. That movie is what you're accusing this movie of being, completely contrived and stretching it.
But see, I think that's why I prefer Weekend at Bernie's 2.
Nah.
In the sequel, it turns out that like Bernie was into voodoo and shit.
Oh
and
my
he had a
God.
curse on him that when he died, he had to walk towards the buried treasure.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, his corpse just gets up from the morgue in New York City and starts walking towards the buried treasure. Anyway, so he's
supposed to be a couple days later, and they're
so basically,
noticeably
he's a
fatter,
zombie.
right?
They get around it by making him a zombie.
Does he eat people?
No, but he fucks a woman up against a tree.
Oh dear!
Because he's always walking in that direction, and she's
with an erection.
Yeah, apparently this guy's got like
constant
like his dick dead is better than mine is alive. So, Mr. Darren, does it hold up, and what would your pairing be?
Well, as my wife put it, this does not hold up. No, be honest. This
really?
movie,
that's sternly.
Yeah, she probably disliked it more than I did. And I did not like this movie whatsoever. Like when I first saw it back in the day, I remember liking parts of it. I have a vague recollection of liking about half of it, but it took so long to get to the funny bits with the corpse and stuff. Be honest, I'm sorry, Alex, but I did not like this movie. I think it's terrible and terribly unfunny.
And what about Tammy's story, though? You said,
oh right, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, because when I mentioned we were watching Weekend at Bernie's, she was like, "Oh, really? That's our the movie we watch at Christmas every year."
What?
Her and her family watch Weekend at Bernie's for Christmas. That was their Christmas movie for like 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, her and her family would always watch Weekend at Bernie's
Would it
on
happen
Christmas
to be on,
Day.
or would they rent
No,
it?
they would rent it. They would
Wow.
watch. Yeah, they would. That was their Christmas movie. She mentioned that before we started watching it. And I thought, oh well, this has got to be a Christmas movie. It's take place at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
No, there's not even Christmas isn't even mentioned in this movie at all.
No.
But this is their go-to
Labor Day.
Christmas movie, which is really funny. Yeah, but no, I wanted to like this movie. I wanted to find, but it was just for me the two leads ruined it.
Oh, I love
that. And it was just there's nothing funny until they started dragging the corpse around. But this movie didn't work for me. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
But but let's say someone comes in on Monday, which is 2 for 1.
I have two picks for
here
this.
at Black Dog Video. You grab Weekend at Bernie's. You bring it up to the counter. You get a free movie.
Yep.
What would your pairing with Weekend?
Well, I have
at
two
Bernie's
picks.
be?
I never have two picks, but because there's two elements of this movie that are working. So there's the summer movie, the beach movie, and then there's the corpse movie.
Yes.
So the summer movie, I watched this movie about 5-6 years ago. It was this really underrated little summer gem called The Way Back.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, with Sam Rockwell and Steve Carell and Toni Collette.
Terrific film.
Yeah, so it's about a kid finding himself at his way going to summer vacation with his mom and his stepdad, and he meets Sam Rockwell, who runs a little amusement park or whatever, and it's such a great little lovely summer film, The Way Back. But if you're into corpse movies,
can I guess what your corpse
I know what
movie
it's
is?
yes,
gonna be.
you can.
Is it Swiss Army Man?
It is not.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought.
It is Necromantic.
Oh.
Yes, the York Buckerite notorious thing from back in the 90s, I guess, that was banned throughout most of the world about people having sex with corpses, and there's more to it than that. But it's really grim and gross. But if you want to get a good insight into necrophilia, I would recommend Necromantic as a good pairing with Weekend at Bernie's.
It might answer some questions about that one scene in Weekend at Bernie's.
Yes.
So Necromantic and
the way back. Yeah. And Dylan, what do you think about this? I think we all know what you think about it, but tell us.
Okay, emotions get high at a podcast recording.
Yeah.
I didn't hate this movie. It might sound like I did. A certain nostalgia kind of washed over me when I started in the first 10 or 15 minutes. I went on IMDb and I read some reviews. Oh, there's actually a review that I really... Okay, I found this review on IMDb. The headline is Funny but Offensive Language.
Really?
Yeah, this is the review. I saw part of this movie and it was funny. Then about 10 minutes into the film, the bad language started. The two stars are on the roof doing work that they're supposed to do in the office. They are pretending that they are on the beach and the scene is funny. This is actually how it's written. They are sitting on beach chairs and one of them goes into a small kids pool filled with water and they discuss business. During their discussion, Richard uses the word Christ in an offensive way. Then the word goddamn is used. I won't listen to words that are used to offend my God. I did not watch the rest. Now I am watching Weekend at Bernie's 2, 1993, with the same people. The word bitch is used, but I am going to watch it unless it is like the 1989 one that I stopped watching. Sorry, it was really hard to get through that.
I got a couple of questions. One, did your mom write that? And two...
My mom?
Yeah.
No.
And look,
my mom swears.
Well,
my mom swears like Quentin Tarantino.
And I can't remember my second point was because.
Well, why would you watch a sequel? And then anyway, whatever. I just thought that was great. I have to be honest. I like that this movie was made. I just don't like the movie. The pairing I would make on 2 for 1 Mondays. If you want to see a movie that takes place in a sunny location. about people lying about a dead body, I'm going to go with The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, that's a great film.
It's a very serious version of Weekend at Bernie's. There are so many similarities to the Talented Mr. Bernie.
Actually,
there's a fan edit I'd love to see.
The original French version of that called Purple Noon is very good as
I've
well.
heard it's terrific.
I've heard that. I've never seen it.
And if we don't have The Talented Mr. Ripley, another movie...
We do have it.
Waking Ned Devine also sprang to mind quite a few times.
Never seen that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's
not as good as Weekend at Bernie's, but it's good.
It's about a small Irish town. Like, this guy in a small Irish town wins the lottery and then dies, and so they just get rid of his body and...
Keep the money.
And this one guy pretends to be him for the lottery inspector, and everyone in town acts like he's that
There's
guy.
a lottery inspector?
Yeah, well, it's like you can't,
To prevent fraud.
Yeah. So Waking Ned Devine, if you want a comedy, if you want a serious one, go with The Talented Mr. Ripley. That brings us to the end of the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast. We recorded this in a video store.
Yep, we're still here.
At 1470 Commercial Drive in sunny East Vancouver.
Dark now.
We have a website, www.blackdogvideo.ca. Check it out for all of our podcasts. We got some videos up there. We've got newsletters, updates,
all kinds
new
of fun
releases,
things.
all kinds. You can see photos of what we look like. We're even sexier than you could imagine.
Yeah, we're getting some boudoir shots, maybe some leopard skin, and maybe a boa constrictor.
And as always, we are sponsored by Jefferson's Barbershop.
Oh, are we sponsored by them again?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
I got my hair cut there today.
All right.
They're great people.
They are great
They're
people.
down at 5th and Commercial. Go into Jefferson's and say that you listen to the podcast, and you can talk about us.
And maybe Jeff will shave your balls for you for free.
Yeah, Mr. Bald Nuts.
Yeah.
Shave me some nuts. Boom, 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 boom.
Da, 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 da.
That is the end of our podcast. I have been Dylan Reimer, and sitting to my left has been...
I'm Alex Chisholm.
And you are?
Darren Gay.
Mr. Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Mr. Greg is the man who makes us sound as sexy as we do.
Yeah. Without him, we are nothing.
This has been the Black Dog Video After Dark podcast, a.k.a. Black Dog After Dark.
Black Dog AD.
Everybody out there, be good to everybody out there. Some like
I
it
forgot
hot.
to mention when Bernie Sanders lost the...
Wookie cookie cookie, ya ya ya. Wookie cookie cookie, ya ya ya.
Got a little scotch?
The Black Dog After Dark podcast is recorded at Black Dog Video on Commercial Drive in Vancouver, Canada. It's presented by Alex Chisholm, Darren Gay, and Dylan Reimer. It is produced by Dylan Reimer and Darren Gay. Alex just kind of stands there and drinks beer. The intro and outro music was recorded by Tiger Burning Bright, composed by Jeff, who works at Jefferson's Barbershop, also on Commercial Drive. And he's a damn good hairstylist.